see here, I am currently in World 68, and I am in R5 in Alliance. Miles, who is surviving amongst the chaos that's unfolding before my eyes in World 68. There are several worlds that are being released frequently, but if you have already established a mansion in a particular world, going to another world will have you begin everything all over again. Either it's loaded, they see that an alliance small as mine is not deemed worthy to survive, and it's only childish to remain, which I completely disagree. I believe that the responsible thing to do is maintain my vision for the future of my sake and proceed with the game as is. Just recently came out. There might be some type of speculation in regards to how long this game would survive. I believe that this game is going to continue going for quite some time. There's heroes throughout the Resident Evil universe that still have no mention in this game just yet. So, based on that, I believe that we will receive more legendary heroes, possibly more rares, more epics, and we're still in the early days of this game. Now, what is it that I am ultimately attempting to do? Survive. This is a survival game. Real-time strategy, a survival game. The core basis of Resident Evil is incorporated in these games, but it really takes a lot of looking at how the developers have made it, as opposed to just attempting to just call it out for what it is. Could the game have been better? Probably. I had a different expectation of what the game was going to be, but nonetheless, I believe I didn't enter at the earliest that I could have, but nonetheless, I am an early player in this game. Now, let's take a look here. As you see, I am in a very bad situation. Very bad situation. I was hoping to gain more players, operators, to join my alliance, but unfortunately, especially due to the ridicule in the world chat, I am unable to obtain more players. They don't see or agree with the vision that I have, and that's fine, I don't believe that everybody here is using the diplomatic approach towards the game. In fact, what they're doing is utilizing their combat power that the Alliance has altogether to feel as a dominant force, which in proper respect they do have that, but there's a lot of instability. It doesn't take a genius to realize that. All you have to do is really assess the situations at hand, take a look at what's going on before all this area here used to be vacant. And they're realizing that, hey, this is not going to open up for a while. Let me claim more territory is what they're doing essentially. And they're not wrong. But I feel that if the strategic approach to this should have been, holding on to your territory in the early game and not spread out like wildfire. But nonetheless, people play the way they want to play, and that's fine. I don't necessarily care for it to myself. The way that I see it is, as long as I continue to protect myself, my alliance, and my alliance member, then that only adds for more loyalty and increases the dependability in my alliance's image. Again, I get constant ridicule in regards to my alliance only having one member and unable to move at the rate that they have done, and that's fine. But this is a long-term game, I believe. This game is not going to go anywhere. People think that the game is going to end within a couple of days, which, that's being sarcastic. But, you've really got to invest in what the future is going to hold for this game. Let's take a look at my base right here. Ultimately, what I'm doing here is attempting to keep up with my maintenance levels. I do the best that I can to ensure that development in my buildings are at the most optimal that they can be. Now, again, I will go down more into explaining some strategies, some protocols, if I may say, in regards to how I envision the strategy that I have in mind for this game, and attempting to remain as one of the alliances that actually make it, because the world is already becoming a bit chaotic. They're starting to want to get rid, if I may say, purge the smaller alliances, and they will utilize that force. There's no stability here. There's no central government or king or any of that. There's only a urge for obtaining power and attempting to just continue to be the most powerful of what they want to be, and that's fine. But I don't think that there's that kind of stability where it's just constantly throwing money into it, no proper plan for the future, just dependability on the current active members of their alliances, and not necessarily some alliances not necessarily being diplomatic whatsoever. I've seen and played a similar game somewhat to this, and interestingly enough, diplomacy really takes a huge impact on how a server's server behaves. And at this point, we can clearly see who's attempting to really control what, and you could tell based on how the lines go. And as you can see here, they're really trying to control this section, maybe even more. They're not necessarily holding on to here, but I predict they will connect it to try and hold that territory. Now, sure, if you're gonna throw a lot of money into the game early on, hold an alliance that continues to throw some money in there for the benefits of their alliance level, makes sense. But you know, you gotta work with what you have. You gotta work with what you're capable with, and really the most important thing should be structure, should be order, should be discipline, should be knowing what to invest your resources in early on, knowing what to gather, what to establish, and you know, later on, once you become strong enough, you know, fight to defend, fight to survive. And you know, it's too early to continue trying to speculate as to whether or not we have to be friends with the top tier alliances, and that's not necessarily true. You got to know who your friends are. Most importantly, you got to know who your enemies are. 33 days from now, this opens up. Whoever gets it, fine. Does it bother me? Not so much. What does bother me, on the other hand, is major alliances trying to shut down my promotions. I promote my alliance as a sovereign alliance in the world chat, and I'm constantly getting ridiculed. Early on, it was seen as a respectable thing, and now it's being seen as an annoyance. They've attempted to scout my mansion and my R4's mansion, but through my proper thinking and not wanting them to assess that type of dominance over me, I shielded. We were peaceful, still are, but we are in a state of code orange, if I may say. Orange alert. We were at a red alert. It went as far as a black alert, but now it's calmed down a tad bit. But I'm not too comfortable with this here. This makes me a little uneasy. I don't know how else to take it. I don't know what to make out of it right now. But I really don't want this next to this. I'm going to stay remaining there for the time being, just to see whether or not there's going to be some type of hostility towards me. Are they going to attempt to attack, or I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I cannot think the way that they are, because I refuse to think like they are. I don't agree with the way they're doing things. It's not what I would have done. Nonetheless, it is concerning. But I am, if I may say, very stable in what I am hoping to achieve. So, my alliance, with just 2 members and daily activity, dedication, with a set of strict foundations, an understanding of how we're gonna do things, have managed to build an alliance level of 3. There was a lot of mistakes, trials and errors that I have undergone, but that's fine. The whole purpose is about learning and developing as you go. And, we're not here to cause drama. We're not here to make enemies. We're here to assess the information that's around us and attempt to figure out how we can continue to progress for the long run. My focus, and especially more so for my alliance, is on development, to build power quietly, not as loudly as what we have seen. We do have a mandatory check-in on a daily basis, because I believe that as more active that you become on a day-to-day, as time progresses, the less you have to worry about those things. The less you'll see yourself being in the game and just allowing it to just flow. Now, as you can see, my R4 is par on par with myself. Level 19. A combined total of 12 million combat power. If we were to go to the alliance lists, they all have anywhere between 20 to 700 million combat power. Now, the problem with this, not necessarily with this alliance, I don't think so. I think that they're doing a great job maintaining an alliance stability. But the problem that I have with this is I don't believe they have a very solid foundation or structure. Now, I'm not trying to make enemies with them. It's just this is my observation. And we could go down the list. $560 million combat power. Now, again, stability. I'm not too sure. I'm not in their alliances. I don't know how they're running it. I cannot make a proper speculation off of their hierarchy. But there are a few, and I'm only going to look at the top 10, just for the sake of it. But there are a few that just, things don't add up. It might be because some players are inactive. They played it for a while, they didn't like the game, or they thought it was something that they're not going to stick to, and that carries on to be dead weight. Now, I already had, as I mentioned, received a red alert, code red. They attempted to scout me after my R4 made a promotion on the world chat promoting the alliance. They ridiculed them, and I felt that as an R5, my responsibility was to look out for the well-being and also protect in peaceful manner my members. And they took that as a complete threat. They felt my anger and my frustration after days of being peaceful and calm, collected, and had my coordinates leaked and attempted to send a scout. I shielded to prevent them from obtaining any information, and we immediately began a safety mandate to protect ourselves from the emotional, chaotic behaviors of the world chat and those that are participating in it. Now, this is going to get worse. I predict it will. And the fight for power is very, very, very visible to me. Everybody seems to be in alliance with one another, or so they say. But this is complete disorganization. Now, what's going to happen to my alliance? As I mentioned, we are currently in a phase where we're constantly in development, but we must safeguard ourselves. We must continue to be protecting ourselves, because although they may not see it, we are strong. We are capable of growing our numbers. Our core values are respectable, honorable, and I believe that I have a very good strategic approach towards the game. Now, again, this is turmoil. This is chaos. This is complete warfare, war zone in the making. When would it strike? I'm not too sure. I don't know. I could say it could happen as soon as stage 3 gets its protection removed. Yeah, I really don't have any clue. But you see, that's not my end goal. Again, it's survivability in this chaos. It's survivability from those bigger bullies that think that they can scare off smaller alliances through their powers. And keep in mind, I believe quite a few of these have an ample amount of inactive players. And, you know, you gotta know who your friends are. You gotta make alliances. You gotta make friendships. You gotta make treaties. You gotta communicate with people. If not, they will be just small resource hubs for plunder. How and which approach I should take, I don't know. I'm not in those bigger alliances to be able to dictate based off of that. And so that's pretty much it. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, just stay tuned. This game is still early. I do see myself increasing my combat power. I do see myself increasing my VIP level. I am in constant communication with my R5. We are thinking exactly the same. Survivability. We might change locations because I'm not at all too comfortable with what's going on there. I don't want to get myself too far off on the edges of the map, but somewhere where, you know, it doesn't look too chaotic, where maybe I can just be there for the time being. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe my movement would cause some type of insecurity towards other alliances, mid-sized alliances, or maybe they might feel like, hey, you know what, it might be some type of form of influence. Again, I'm not too sure. It's still early stages, and we'll see from there. Now, if we were to take a look at, just real quick, at World War, the first server. I don't know what the heck's going on here. But as you can see, there's a lot of activity. A lot of activity. And it appears to be seen as GOD, the #1 alliance in this server, has captured a majority of the resource hubs, the genome centers, umbrella security center. I don't know what they really provide, but definitely I believe that they're benefit boosts for your alliance, and they were probably very smart to capitalize on it. I don't know what the warfare here is. I don't know who's in cahoots with who, but I mean, people are talking about the server versus server, and you know, instead of attempting to unify and gather the troops for that kind of event, they're ridiculing one another here. And you know, if I can be able to reach out to the alliances here, which I've attempted to do so on a constant basis, trying to merge alliances, smaller alliances. I would say that the small alliances are in big trouble. I believe that I'm strong enough at the moment to keep up with them, because my combat power is, I mean, it's not the greatest, but if you were to look at my information here, I'm doing fairly well. Very, very well, actually. My development in building combat is stronger than 100% of the operatives in the current world. That is very, very good. Like I mentioned, I believe I do have a very good strategic approach. So if anybody wants to join the cause, come find me in World 68. It's never too late to join. And you know, I'll definitely consider an entry to, and I'll consider any applications that are being submitted towards my alliance. I don't think that this is the end for Open Your Eyes OYE. This is just the beginning, and people have taken notice, and you know, I've made connections with several big alliances, and you know, I've made some friends now, and I definitely know who some of my enemies are. So again, I do have a Discord that's in the making. It's active, and you know, I got the history of the alliance, and I also have some pages there, channels dedicated to the protocols that are being implemented. So there's a lot of work that I have done as an R5 commander of my alliance to be able to maintain order within my alliance. And again, I really do need some help, because I believe I know who's gonna be the first one to attack. Not necessarily each other, but I know well enough who's gonna come after me, and I'm prepared for it. It troubles me to see that some of the smaller alliances, they may not be ready for it. And you know, if they could hear me and if they want to survive, my alliance doors are open to submit an application. And you know, even if you don't meet the requirements, so what? I can adjust. I can work with you. But you gotta talk to me. You gotta communicate with me. You gotta share the same core principles that I share with this alliance. Well, until next time.